I think our first Easter is worthy of note. Lampers of the most lovely cut flowers arrived from England, and a band of willing workers with artistic tastes made the chapel the most beautiful spot in all of Europe. On Easter Day the sun shone and the men muttered, "God is good." Bang. And still another. Somebody hurt. A woman wounded and a child killed. Not long ago I saw them smile. Now Tubby always considered Easter 1916 to be the happiest of his ministry here at Talbot House. Now I'd like to take you upstairs to the upper room and give you an insight of what the day must have been like. Talbot House, Easter Monday, 24th of April, 1916. Dearest Major, it's 9:15 p.m. I'm all alone and I've just finished supper and my post-prandial canteen account with Sergeant Godley, my senior NCO and Chief of Staff. This always ends up with gossip, as he's the most delightful fellow. It is the first night I've been alone for a week, as Gardner, a lieutenant in my old division, was living with me last week, and he has today rejoined his regiment. He was a really jolly fellow, an amazingly good musician, so that in his presence at our little groan box in the organ loft all last week has been of the greatest value. Now the organist on duty that day was Second Lieutenant Godfrey Garter of the 9th Suffolks. He himself had been educated at the Royal Academy of Music, was a member and organist of the Royal Philharmonic Society, and played the organ in many churches in Greater London. Now on the 1st of September he joined the Queen's Westminster Rifles, a regiment that has a very big connection with this house and especially with this chapel. Now by October 1915 he was serving at the front line and was able to arrange many entertainments for his men. Tubby was able to commandeer his services for Easter 1916, where he played his very harmonium sitting right here in the chapel all day on Easter. He was the most marvellous musician, Tubby kept saying, and really loved his company. Now the music you have been listening to today would have been played on this harmonium. It's exactly the same hymns, we know, but sadly not played on this harmonium because I'm a terrible player, but played by a friend of the house back home in the UK on a twin of this harmonium. Sadly, the Battle of the Somme in September 1916 took Godfrey Garner away from us as well. He's commemorated at the Thiepval Memorial. He was killed leading his men in an attack at Ginchy. A great loss to the house and to Tubby especially. Tubby continues. We had quite a wonderful week. 30 or so at Evensong every night and about 50 at Neville's 3 hours, including Lord Cavan himself. And on Saturday the chapel was transformed into the most perfect place of worship in all of Belgium. Mrs. Coovid Kamerling, the owners of the house, had left a roll of crepe behind which draped the altar on Good Friday. On Saturday, flowers poured in from home and a lovely frontal came to order from Holy Cross Court, Hayward Heath. So everything for Easter was exceedingly magnificent. And Easter Day was worth it. We had about 270 communicants. The divisional general came, most of the senior staff, brigadiers, colonels, bandsmen, signals, railwaymen, RMMC, ASC, MT, RE, and he goes on for half a page. If the chapel floor had collapsed at 8, 9:30 or 11:30, as it ought to have done by all laws of gravity, practically every branch of the army here would have had its representatives in the common ruin. The 11:30 service I shall always remember, as indeed I think will all those men who were here. We sang Merbeck and Easter hymns all through, and the real reverence of all was most marked. Believe me, the old church isn't half as morbid as some folks seem to think. The offertory totaled £10, which is divided between the Convent of the Holy Cross and the Prisoner of War Fund. As the result of our Lenten offertories, another £10 has gone to the waifs and strays for our adopted daughter Hannah. Before the 11:30 service ended, the colonel of the Brigade of Heavy Artillery was waiting for Gardner, the organist, the harmonium and myself. We lunched with him at his headquarters some miles away, such a jolly party, and then held Easter service there. Later on we visited several more batteries for services. A Bosch plane hung overhead, evidently thinking that the folded harmonium was a suspicious object. So we had to wait in a sandbagged area, retreat, while they were shelling the field on our left with great gusto. The moment I reached Talbot House, Pettifer told me that one of our night orderlies, a splendid medic, had been badly hit and wanted to see me that night still in the local casualty clearing station. So I wrote a dispatch sheet to the CEO of Motor Machine Gunners, who'd been in Holy Communion that morning, asking for a cycle car. Then we had our glorious evensong with the chapel ridiculously overfull again. After which I swallowed some coffee and climbed into the place behind where the machine gun should have been, as we tilted down the road full pitch to the casualty clearing station. After a long search and climbing underneath the train, Tubby in the end found the CCS, knocked on the door of a familiar army captain, and found the boy in his own ward, doing quite well despite the shrapnel in his lung. I re-emerged into the night, retreated my steps, negotiated the bridge again, found my cycle car, and rolled back to a late and glorious supper of soup and tinned sausages at Talbot House. After which I subsequently retired to bed, eventually. Quite a jolly Easter day, and the right kind. Tomorrow, I hope to take all our Easter flowers to the British cemetery here and have a confirmation class at 6 p.m. Everyone is amazingly nice, and I'm really happy and thoroughly thankful to be where I am. Much love, dearest Major. Your son, Philip.